back to the channel. In today's video we are going to start a new mini series, and it is following our JavaScript Fundamentals 101 series from episode 1 to episode 10. Okay, those ones who have not watched from episode 1 to episode 10 of JavaScript Fundamentals 101, it is good before you start watching this JavaScript beginner projects to have watched that series. It has 10 episodes for now. We'll be resuming from episode 11 after we have looked at beginner projects before we go to advanced projects. Okay, so in this beginner projects we are going to be looking at relatively small projects but applying some of JavaScript basic principles that we got from the Fundamentals 101 series. So we'll be looking at these projects, and they are very important that you practice, you go around and you challenge yourself. Okay, I'm going to be doing a project. It doesn't mean that you cannot add on more features to that project. So when we do a project, add on more features and make it look good, and you can also put it on your portfolio. Okay, so we are going to be focused on some relatively small projects, but they will be very important in developing your fundamentals. Okay, so in other theories you're going to find on the internet, sometimes you find the projects can be somehow big, and then they are writing a lot of JavaScript, and then you haven't gotten there yet. Okay, so in this series we are going to focus on very nice sweet small projects whereby we do relatively small JavaScript but with some good logic. Okay, and in our first project we are going to look at project 1 is going to be Responsive Navbar. So at least to all of you who have done at least HTML CSS, you have seen that the first part of the website is always a navigation bar, and the most challenging part it is when it comes to responsive of that website. Okay, so in today's video we want to break down and we look at how do we handle a responsive navbar. Okay, so I'm just going to create a simple web page like the one you are seeing here actually. So normally in the first place, start with a design. Okay, so you must come up with a nice design. I designed this one simply here in PowerPoint, but normally you are going to be designing these from like Figma. First come up with a nice design of your web page, and after that then you can go ahead and start working on it. So the web page is going to be looking close to something like this. Okay, so we have a very simple home page with a navigation bar and a hero section. Okay, so as simple as this, and the only thing we are targeting, or our main feature today, is making it responsive. So on small devices we would want something like this. Okay, on small devices we would want something like this. So on small devices the other navigation is hidden, or the other or the nav links are hidden, and we have this one, and this one really we normally call it a hamburg. Okay, or a hamburg menu, or yeah, it can be tagora or anything, but just know this is always a hamburg. So when you click on it, then this menu pops up and someone can click on these links. Okay, so yeah, this is what is going to be our main target today, so that we build something like this, and you can see the design is cool and or the project is cool and I love it. So we are going to dive in. Okay, we are going to dive in and we'll break it down. Okay, so this is our design. So we are going to start breaking it down, really what happens, because before you go to JavaScript, okay, before you go to JavaScript, you have to make a plan on a paper. You have to make a plan on a paper. Sometimes we even draw a flow chart. Okay, in the other big projects or even in this series, you're going to see me using a flow chart to some of the projects. Okay, so the flow chart will be helping us to know what do we do first, how do we navigate the whole project, or how do we tackle the whole project from planning up to finish. Okay, so in the first place, this is our website. So want to know what is happening on smaller devices. So this is how it is going to be looking on desktops and even on desktops and bigger devices. Okay, so what is transitioning, what is happening here between these two screens? Okay, so the first thing we notice is that this I'm just going to duplicate these two. So I'm just going to duplicate this and bring it down here, and also duplicate this and bring it down here so they can explain really very well what is happening before we dive in into JavaScript and this whole crazy design thing. Okay, so the first thing I want you to notice is that if you look at this is on the desktop. So on small devices, what happens is that this whole bunch of links, they actually, all of them, they disappear. Okay, so using CSS we would hide these ones, okay, by using display none. Okay, so here we could use display none and we make them disappear. Okay, so you can see even this button actually, it also actually goes. So you can see even this one, this button also on small devices, it actually also was given display none. Okay, in CSS. So at this point we would be having only this logo or this brand name here. So and then at the same point we need something else. We need a hamburg. Okay, we need a hamburg menu to pop up. If you look at this, it is having only this and then this hamburg menu. So that means at this point here is that we are going to have our hamburg menu somewhere hidden. Okay, so this one is going to be hidden by default. Okay, so this is our hamburg menu, and by default this one on bigger screens. So I'm just going to change a pen here. So this one we want it also display none, okay, on bigger screens, okay, or on the monitor. So this one is going to be hidden. Okay, it is going to be hidden on these big screens, and then on small screens we unhide it, or we bring it, we give it a display block to bring it to life on smaller devices. Okay, and now that would help us to toggle between these two screens, to toggle between this big screen with the navbar and with all these links shown, and this one by default is going to be hidden on bigger screens. On smaller screens we have it shown, but the links we hide them, and that CTA button that was saying enroll, we also hide it. Okay, and a minute, and the text here, let me just skip this. The text here of course is not getting started but is enroll actually. So let me just change that, enroll. Even this one, let me make it enroll. Okay, that is great. So that is one part of the story. So On the bigger screen, we hide the the hamburg menu or the hamburg button. On smaller screens, we bring it back and then we hide the menu. That is cool. So now, the second functionality now we have to work on is when we click this hamburg menu, this menu to pop up from here. Okay? So as we are hiding this menu, we are going to take it down. We change all these settings here and all this kind of stuff. You get? So yeah, this is how we are going to trick it, or this is how we are going to handle it, so that we can have this kind of menu going on. Okay, we can have this kind of menu going on, and it is going to be really nice. So on this button, it is also going to be tricky if you look at where this button is really located. Okay, so we can also handle it in very many ways. So the first way, you would create another button. Okay, you would create another button and hide it here, this very button, and hide it here, because using flex you can have this very fast, you can have this and this very fast, but you realize, or if we are just going to manipulate this, now how this one comes to join these ones on smaller devices like here, it is really very tricky. Okay, so what we are going to do is we can hide it here. We are going to see how we are going to handle it. We can hide it here, so that when we just go this side, it is very easy to put it down here. But then the logic of JavaScript, where JavaScript comes in, is we are going to select our button and we give it a click event. Okay, so this is why we use we're going to look at selecting elements from HTML. We are going to look at adding event listeners, and even handling the whole event. So it is going to be cool to see how we are going to handle that. Okay, to see how we are going to handle that. So this is a cool project, and me personally, I really like it. Okay, so from here, I think we have talked about more logic. So let's dive in and start the project. Okay, so at the end of the project, I'm just going to give you the source code. I will be linking it to GitHub, so you can download the source code and actually have a look at it. But I always encourage, please just make sure that you understand the concepts and do the project on your own. Don't dwell on looking at the code first. You will not learn. Okay, do the project, watch the video, understand what I've done, and try to do it on your project. And most of you who are watching and have been following the front end mastery course, you have your personal projects that I personally gave it to you. Work on those projects, try to implement what we do in this video. Okay, so you do this project and it is cool, and then implement this functionality in your own website, and when you do that, that's how you learn JavaScript. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, so I'm just going to go and look for open VS Code. Okay, so I have already created a folder just to avoid creating this whole stuff. I have here a folder, so you can create a folder called JavaScript beginner projects, and in project 1 we are looking at responsive navbar. Okay, so in this one, just open this in VS Code, and I've created I have this image. So to get to the image, just simply go to Unsplash, and download any image you want. Okay, just try to get a cross image looking like this one. Okay, so let me show you how my image looks like. Okay, so this is how my image looks like. Okay, This is how my image looks like. So you can just go to an splash, put in maybe a team or what. So download that image right from an splash, and not necessarily this very one, but just get any image that is going that you like and it is going to work. So I'll put the image in the folder and I've named it BG. So in the same folder, I've created other files. So the first one, index.html. This is going to hold our markup code, and then we have style.scss. So welcome to SCSS. In all these projects, mini projects, we are going to be focusing on using SCSS, okay, or Sass, so that you really integrate it and you know how to integrate it in this whole architecture. And I think it is very powerful, and you should be practicing Sass with JavaScript so that you actually get used to how we do production apps. Okay, so I have here style.scss, which is also blank, no code index, there is no anything, and then app.js, and there is also nothing. So we are starting absolutely everything from scratch. Okay, so let's start with our HTML. Okay, so in my HTML, I'm just going to do shift 1. Okay, so this shift 1 is to give me this boilerplate. Okay, and in the title here, I'm just going to say responsive navbar. Okay, this is great. Okay, inside here, if you remember, we have 2 sections. Okay, and I always just like to comment this. And first of all, we have the header. So always comment very well your code, so that whoever is reading through, he is understanding what is happening. So we have 2 sections in this. It is a simple project, and we have 2 sections, and we have also a hero section. Okay, so hero section starts there, and then hero section is going to end. Okay, so you can see how I start and I write all these necessary code. It might not be necessary and it's not going to do anything, but it adds professionalism to the project. Okay, make sure you do this kind of stuff. Okay, so now the first thing I'm just going to do is do our header. Okay, so in the header, as you can see, we have many links. Okay, so here, that's where the planning comes in. Okay, this is where the tricky part comes in. So you can see in our project, we have this. So the question there is, where do we put this hamburg menu? Okay, where do we put this hamburg menu? Do we put it inside just the header, any other place, any place? Do we place it inside this stuff? So it really just depends, because what we know, after hiding this, because you are going to use a flex on this header. So if we use flex, you said, and we use space between, you said it will going to spread this, and spread that. Okay, now if we hide this and this, that means we'll be remaining with 2 items ready, and that is great. So that means we can't just put it anywhere inside here, okay, as any other item. Okay, so that is good. That is great. So let's just go ahead and do this. So I'm just going to go down here. So in the header, we are going to first have the logo. So a.logo. Okay, and it always takes to index, and inside the logo here, I'm just going to write this is hub. Okay, and now from there, we are going to have a button. Okay, so this is the button, and we can give it a hashtag, and we can have it as a hamburg. So guys, don't laugh at my spelling. I'm not sure if that is the the spelling, but whatever, it is going to work for us. So what do we put inside here? So one way you could do, and the simplest way, is if you are connected to internet right now. I'm not connected to internet right now. If you are connected to internet, just go to box icons, link them here in the header, and get the menu icon. Okay, here you could put the menu icon here. So you can just put a menu icon here with 3 bars. So that icon is there when you go to box icons. Okay, or you could even just download an SVG from Hero Icons, or you can download a menu icon, just an image, and you put it inside here. But right now I'm just going to use 3 span tags. Okay, I'm just going to put span tags. I can put 1, but I just go and put 3 of them, and they will be representing my those lines. Okay, so each span is going to be a line. Okay, just like that. So this is just like a line, this is a line, this is a line, for those 3 lines. Okay, so this is a handbag. Okay, and by default is going to be hidden. Okay, so now I will just go ahead and do this. So now we can have the navigation menu. So you could even put it in the nav. Okay, you can just put it in the nav, and in the nav we can have how many links do we have in the nav? Okay, so let's look at this. 1 2 3 4. So we have 4 links. So here I'm just going to have 4 links. So just say a dot nav link. I'm giving it a class of nav link, and times 4. So there are 4 of them. I'm just going to multiply by 4 and to give me 4 links. Okay, so I can just go down here and start organizing them. This is the 3rd one, and this is the 4th one. Okay, so there is another one we are going to put down here, that is going to be a CTA button. Okay, that we are going to hide also. This one we are also going to hide it, and I will show you why, but for now let's not focus on it. We'll come to it later. So home, so let's have home here. Let's have here about services, and then project or projects. Okay, so those are our 4, and then here we can just put a hashtag, since these links we don't have them for now. Let's just put a hash here for all of them. Okay, so this is great. So after the navigation we have the CTA. Okay, we have the CTA, and the CTA we can have also a link with CTA CTA link. So give this CTA link like so. Okay, we could even no need of putting it in a div really. We could just leave it and we just simply give it as a CTA link. Let me just remove this, not complicated. Just have a CTA link sitting there, so that it is very easy to add it here in the future when we want it. Okay, so this is the structure we have, and this is a very simple structure. We have the logo, we have this handbag that is going to be hidden, and we also have this navigation that is having our main links, and then we have this CTA which says enroll, and is also there like that. So, and that is our header really. There is nothing much to do with that. So we could just first go and work on the header. Okay, so the first thing, start by linking your CSS, and since we are using Sass, okay, since we're using Sass, you can first write some little Sass here. Okay, I can just write here and I say, for instance, browser reset, browser, can I say comment here, and I say browser. As you can see, I'm always a guy who likes using everything in order. So put here browser reset, and on the browser reset, you all know we do star, margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing border box. Okay, so this is cool. So I'm putting this one just to show you how we are going to generate our CSS. Okay, so here we write our code in style.scss. Okay, we are writing our stuff in style.scss. And now so if I want, I'm just going to click here on watch Sass. So if you don't see this button, probably you don't have this extension. Okay, so come here on extensions, click there and search Sass compiler. Okay, search for live Sass compiler, and the one that works is by Glenmarks. Okay, so we have two Sass compiler. One is by Ritwik, another one is by Glenmark. So download the one having done by Glenmark. Okay, that is the one that works. Okay, so after doing that, let me click on this button. So after you have installed that extension, it is going to pop up. After you have installed, it's going to bring this button down here that says watch Sass. So click there like that, and when you click that, now mine, it has extra settings, and it has generated this file called CSS. It has generated this folder called CSS, and it has put in inside here a file called style.css. Okay, now in your case, this style.css is going to be in the same folder as index and style. Okay, so in other words, it's just going to create a new file called style.scss. No, not CSS, but it's going to create another file called style.css and a map file. So don't mind about the map, just mind about this style. So just go back here to HTML and link to it. Okay, so simply come here and say link. Okay, link CSS. Now for your case, it's just going to be as simple as leaving it at style.css, because it is going to be in the same folder with index. So for my case, it is inside the CSS folder, so I'm just going to navigate there and link to my CSS like so. Okay, so this is good, and you can always test the test if this works. And by the way, you can also close this, so you can always test if everything works by targeting maybe the body and giving it like a background color. So I'll just go here and say body and give it a background color of red. Okay, just like that, and let's do this. So when you do that, it will still compile. So if a person is save, you see it compiles here, and we take it down here, success means it has sent this code to the style this site, and you can see body is red. So if everything works properly, if I open my live server here, it should show a body having a background color of red. Okay, and if I see that, then right away we are going to have so you can see I have background color of red, and this is good, meaning that my CSS, my styles are really working. So if they don't work, if your Sass and you are failed to connect Sass, and for some reason this is your first time to see Sass, please go to the YouTube channel, go to my YouTube channel and look for the not the series, but it is a single video called Introduction to Sass. Okay, it's actually named Superpowers of Sass. Go and watch that video. After that, then you can come back here and we continue from this. Okay, so that is great. So I've connected my styles to index, and everything is good. So now in a real project, there are some files that you should be having. Okay, So for instance, we are going to create some partial files. Okay, we are going to create partial files to hold our we are going to hold, for instance, our global. Okay, our global styles like these ones. Another thing is, so another global style I want to put here is font family. So you can download your font family from Google Fonts. I'm just going to use really console as. So I'm just going to put here this, and I'm just going to say console las, like that. So I'm just going to use console as, and it is on my machine. But you can't really use any font. Just go on Google Fonts, download the font, and have it put here. Put your font on top here, and you are going to put it in global files. Okay, so now what we want is we are going to put global styles in its own partial files, header files on its own file, and the hero section is also going to be in its file. And this will do it because we want to manage the project. As the project grows bigger, it is always very nice that these things, you put them in the same things. So the first ones is you can go ahead and create global styles. So I'm just go down here, create a new file excuse me, and global start with this underscore. So that underscore is shift minus. Okay, shift minus, they give you underscore, and you can give it any name. Ours, you're going to call it globals. Okay, globals. Okay, dot scss. Okay, like that. So you can now cut this part here, which saying browser reset, and in fact even the body, let's put it in the browser reset to show you how this one works. So I'm just going to cut everything here, take it to this side of the global. Okay, now of course if you go back to the browser, everything has been removed because it is no longer having anything here. So we have to bring in these globals, we bring in styles. So how do we do that? Go to the styles and you say at import, okay, double quotes, and then you can navigate and say dot slash globals and end with that. So this one brings in the globals wherever they are here, and you don't put underscore, please. Okay, so some of you people are going to be having underscores here. There is no underscore, that is one thing, and then there is no .scss. Okay, that is great. So just put as simple as this. Okay, so that is good. And if we go back now, it is still working because it is getting these globals here from here and is bringing them here. So the second file we're going to create is variables. Okay, so we're going to create another partial file called variables.scss. I want to show you the whole architecture of how this whole works, because I would want some other people, they focus on one part. For instance, JavaScript, I always want in a project I focus actually on all, and you see all how they work together. So now this is variables, and from here we can derive our variables. For instance, so from our design let's get to the variables. So we have, first of all, color white, we have color black, we have this yellow, so we have also this dark blue, and then this color. So we have a lot of colors, but they just go and start working on them. So in CSS, how do we create variables? We use a dollar sign. Sorry, I'm just going to say color, the first one. You can just say color black, or you could really call it black, whatever, any name you want. I always prefix them like with color black. So you could just say hash 00 6 zeros, and it's, yeah, like so. That is one. And you could go ahead and so do color white, or you could call it white. Okay, and the color white is always hash ff 6 times, and make sure that 6. Okay, this is great. Next, we have orange, so we have color orange, or you could even call it color btn, color orange. And I could just go and say orange, by the way, like that. So we could just use orange like that. In the future, we can see if that one doesn't work, we can just adjust it, but I just stay to that orange. And another one, we have color blue. Okay, so we're going to have color blue, and we could have it as sky blue. So let me first start from sky blue. Okay, I think that one is pretty good. Sky blue, like so. And this is dollar. Okay, yeah, like that. And then we can also have dark blue. So color dark blue, and we could just simply use actually dark blue, like that. And maybe we could even make it more dense or more deeper, like so. Okay, so I think these the main colors we have. If we look at our design, other colors are going to come in later if we have others. Okay, so this is great. So we have all our colors put in. So if you have even your font, for instance, you could just come and you even define it here. Okay, you could define your fonts, because in the future projects change fonts, so you would want one place where you can change your font. So you can just go ahead and you see, for instance, you define the font here, and maybe you say font, you could just say default font, for instance, default font. And I'm just going to come here and I call it like I'd use the consolas, like that. So if you have downloaded your Poppins, this is a place where you put Poppins, comma, maybe sans, serif sans, or what. So this is a point where you put your stuff here. Okay, the font you got from Google, you could actually put it here. Okay, that is great. And make sure, of course, the font that you have exported, and you can bring it in here in the globals. Okay, so this your font, the font you have downloaded, you could put it on top here, like on top of this one, because variables are the ones which are brought in first. So here you could just go and put your Google fonts. Okay, so put your Google font here. Okay, and after that, and then here you will have variables. Okay, so just go and bring in variables, and let's bring in variables in our project, and they're always the first one on top. So here we say at import, okay, double quotes dot slash variables, as simple as that. So I have my variables brought in into styles. So I can go to global, and here where I use the font family, I can just say dollar, and I can say default font, like so. That is great. Now this background color, we are going to see which background color, but for now we don't want red, and even the body, for now we don't want it. Okay, so now we're going to create two more partial files for the header styles. And so I'm just going to create here header dot scss, and I'm just going to create another one. Which is hero. So start with a partial hero dot scss, like that. So this is great. We have all our files we need, and we are good to go, or we are good to start. Okay, so I have all these files, and I'm just going to close one by one. So make sure you bring them in. So go to these styles, and let's bring all of them in before you start writing code there. So import double quotes dot slash select header. Don't forget to put this semicolons. Go ahead and put that import and let's import dot slash, let's put hero.scss, put that. So this is great. We have all our partial files brought in nicely like that, and that is our style, and we would not work this file now. We don't want styles because everything has been brought in, and we are going to concentrate on one part that we want. So for the first time, we want to concentrate on the header. So other files, just simply close them. So even JavaScript, close it. So we have our HTML and our header here. So in the first place, let's get the header, okay, and let's give it background color of black right away. So let's give it background color of black, which is actually $color black. So if you are finding it hard, you could just always just go this side in variables and get that one, okay. So you could just say color black, as simple as that, and you can just confirm here that what you are naming is a real color, like color black, and you can also test here and you can see that already we have the header, which is black, okay. So in our global styles, we can just remove, we can get all anchor tags, and we say text decoration none, okay. So the styles we put in globals are the ones which cut across the whole website. So for instance here, we are removing the underline from these links across the whole website. Okay, this is great. Going back here, so let's start with a simple one like this prefix, okay, and let's go ahead and say justify content space between, okay, and you could go ahead and give it, by the way, a height like of, for instance, 90 pixels. You could give it a padding of top 1 rem, and on the side is 3 rem. Another thing, we could just give it align items center, and let's look at what we have so far. Wow, now so far not bad. It's looking great. It's looking great, and I think that height is too much, maybe 80. Okay. Yep. So this is already looking great. This is already looking great. We could just go ahead and give color white, since so like all anchor tags that are in the header, most of them are white. So we could just go and say color, and we could just say color white. So we have color white here. So if I go now back, you see that all my links are actually white. This is to simplify most of these things, okay. And I can also just say on hover, so right away I can handle the hover here, and I say when you hover this, so want to color to change to orange, so like so, like hover color color orange, like so. And now we could just give it a small transition here, transition or 0.5 seconds, and we could just say is, okay. This is to make sure that changing from this color to this one is smooth. So if we just go now, and you have this smooth transition going on, okay. So this is great, and right away we could hide this hamburg menu. So let's first work on this hamburg, okay. So just going to work on it just in a minute. So let's continue and work on other things like the CTA. So inside the header, if you go back inside the nav, so we have this nav. By the way, we could just go back to the nav and we give it some flex and some space. Let's do that. So inside here we have a nav, and give it a flex, and what we have here just is a gap, so maybe 2 rem. Let's first see. Okay, so that is great. 2 rem is good. 2 rem is good. 2 rem is good. So far that is great. So that one done. So let's just go back to the this side, and let's look at this CTA link. So there is this link named CTA link. So copy that class come down here, .cta link. First of all, it has a background color of color orange. Let's give it a padding. So we give it a padding. Let's give it a padding on top and bottom, maybe 1 rem, and on the sides let's give it 2 rem, and we see how it is doing. And it has color black, so color is color black. Okay, so now if we check, okay, so this is not bad, but then on hover we have to make sure that the hover is actually not that. So go here and you keep it and hover. So this is how we write a hover within this. So those who did Sass, they understand. If you're hovering this one, you don't have to write it anywhere, write it inside using this ampersand. So on hover, we want to change the color. Okay, do we want to change the color on hover really? What do we change on hover? We can just leave the color black on hover, you know. I just leave it color black, or you could even make it color blue, dark blue, but I just leave it there, so that on hover it doesn't actually really do anything like that. There is nothing that is done, and I'm just going to go ahead and give it some border radius. So I could just make it more sweet and give it something like this. So border top left, and let's give it 20 pixels. Okay, and we could just also go ahead and say border, okay, bottom right radius 20 pixels, and we could look at that and see how it looks. Yep, I like the button, how it is looking like. Okay, so maybe what I can reduce is slightly on this rem. Maybe we make it 0.8 rem, the top and bottom. Yeah, well, looks okay. I have no problem with that. Okay, so if you're happy with how it looks, this is great, and I'm just going to go ahead and increase this logo. So just work on the logo within this one. So you can just put down here the logo. Okay, for instance, we can just increase the font size, maybe to 3 rem. I don't know, that is too much or it is too less. That is too damn high. Okay, so just consider 2 rem. Okay, so that one looks okay. Okay, the logo looks okay, and I'm just going to keep it minimal. I'm not going to put more designs on it. You can go crazy and make it whatever you want. Okay, and generally just bump up the font size. Okay, we can just go ahead and bump up the font size. Okay, we could still go ahead and do the other trick of reducing the fonts. I don't know if that one we go into that of making HTML 62.5%, so that we can just do the trick on our fonts. Okay, so if I went into the globals and I say HTML and I say font size to font size to 62.5%. If you do this, go back, you said everything will reduce. Okay, everything will reduce, because now we are calculating at 1 rem is equal 1 pixel. Like 1 rem is equal, so we are working on 1 rem is equal to 10 pixels. So why do we do this? There are a number of reasons. One is to make all the things, all the fonts to be responsive. That is one thing. The second one is to make sure that it is easy to calculate in rems. Okay, so right now we can go back here where we are naming everything we have in rem. For instance, top and bottom, so this is like 10 pixels. Okay, So you could make this one something like 16, not 16, 1.6. Okay, this one was about 48, so it becomes 4.8. Okay, so top and bottom. And this let me see here, gap was 2 rem, which is 32 pixels, so you can just make it 3.2. okay, rem, let me see anything else here. This was 0.8, which is about so this is, you can see it was even hard to calculate. 0.8 you cannot calculate it, but they just make it something like 1.2, and we see what will happen. And this one was 16, 1.6. okay, so other things I think they're okay. Logo font size to size 2, we could make it 3.2. And let's go back and see. Okay, yeah, so this one, can we first work on the font? So the base font, okay, so we just go to globals and we set a global font size here. So we could just say that a default font is, so go here and say font size and something like 16 pixels or 18 pixels. So we'd say font size is 1.6 rem. Okay, if we just say 1.6 rem, and you see everything will be bumped up. Okay, like this is starting point, like everything we're going to be writing starts at 1.6 because it is in the browser reset, so that it is working on 1.6, and you can see this boost back to where we are, right? So this button looks okay, but we can just give it more. So if we go to the CTA here, okay, if you wanted, you could increase on this one and make it 1.8, or you could even go ahead and make it 2 rem. Okay, just make it 2 rem, like to make it more like longer on the sides. And that one looks great. You could just go ahead and maybe make 2.5. Are we making it more longer? Okay, so that is perfect. That is perfect. So these things are okay. If you wanted, you could just even add, you make it 1.8 here, like to have 18 pixels as your default font, and they will be bumped up to this level. Okay, so to me this looks perfect. Let's work on this hamburg menu. Okay, so go back to the header and we have the hamburg within here. Okay, so you just target, so you can just look at the button. So you could really just say header button, anything like a button, or you could just target a hamburg, this hash, we could target it as a hamburg, and let's just do that. Let's use a hash. So come here down and say this and put the hamburg, like so. This is how we target IDs. Okay, and we could just go ahead and target the span inside. Okay, so the span inside, let's give it some width. Okay, maybe 50 pixels, or okay, we could just say 50 pixels or 5 rem, like so. And height, you could give it 1 pixel, and let's give it background color of color white. And what do we have? Can I give this can I first give this so that it is working? Let's give it a background color of red, so that this hamburg thing is working and actually is not being seen now. Okay, okay, so we could specifically target what? So okay, let me just try using button, and we see if this makes any sense. Okay, the same thing, and I just go back to the handbag. So you just troubleshoot what is happening, and the easy way to troubleshoot is going to this button and write there something. Okay, so like anything like button, just write there some content like so, and we see if it can show up. Okay, so it shows up. Okay, so now can we first of all go back to the header, and okay, let's just give it a display flex. Okay, and flex direction is column. This is to align those three lines vertically, and let's give them a gap of well, so to give it 1 rem, gap of 1 rem, and let's see again now what is happening. Okay, so our lines show up. Okay, so this is great. So I'm just going to go here, remove this button thing. We had to put for testing, and we have our 3 lines very well like that. Okay, so at this point I can just go ahead and really remove the this weird background we have. Okay, so this I can just go and remove the red somewhere here. So you could remove this red, and yep, and then give it a background color, make it transparent. Okay, so want it take not have any, and yep, that is good. And here let's make it 4 rem, not 5, 4. And then another one we want to give is cursor pointer. So cursor should be looking like clickable. Yep, so that one looks great. This is really looking great. And yeah, so this is how we create a handbag menu. If you're happy with this, it's okay. If you're not happy, you get the icon and put that. For me, I'm just going to work with this, and that is perfect for me. Okay, so great. So this is supposed to be by default hidden. Okay, so you could just come here and give it display none. Okay, like so, display none, and I can just say here right away that at media, so I want to bring it back on smaller screens, and probably I want to bring it back on max width. So we can just work on it, like max width is 768. So this is like on I want to bring it back on tablet. So this 768 is just like a tablet. Okay, so at that point max width 768, and let's say display block. Okay, not actually display block. So remember we gave it display flex, so it's supposed to be display flex. So cut this one. Okay, so here is display flex, not display block. So remove this. Okay, so display none, let me put it on top here, move it to the top here. Okay, so now when we go back, it is not being seen, and we have our menu being seen. So what I want is I want to hide this also here. Okay, so if I do that, let me go to the HTML down, and the CTA link. Okay, let me just get the CTA link, and inside the nav, let's see if we can hide it below here. Okay, so now let's give align items to these ones. Let's go back and we look for the nav. Where is the nav, and why are we hiding it then? So let's just first give it align items here, align items center. Okay, so it's going to align them sweet like that. So why are we hiding it here? So in responsive, this is that this link actually at the end of the day is going to be part of these ones. Okay, but here we want it to show up here, not here. So what we can do is we can just target that class, which was .cta link that is inside the nav. We can say display none. Okay, we can just simply target the one that is inside here. We'll give it display none, but we'll bring it back later. Okay, we'll bring it back later, and more especially on the media. So when we are just talking about at media, okay, at media, and let's say max width. Okay, just to keep it, I'm just going to work with only one, I guess, 768 pixels, and let's say display block. Okay, so you can see that now when we go back to responsive, so we want some things to be seen. So you can see our menu comes. Okay, our menu comes, and if you scroll, even our button at this point supposed to come. Okay, the button is supposed also to come. We'll fix that, but at least some things here are not being seen, I guess. If you scroll, they are there. Okay, this is great, they are there. Okay, so that is great. So now what we want is, on small screens, we want all this to disappear. Okay, want all this nav to disappear on smaller screens. Okay, want it to disappear. So what do we do? So I'm just going to okay, I think here we don't even need this. Okay, just don't need that. Let me just do this. So for the nav, okay, on smaller screens, and specifically on at media, so we want to hide the nav. Okay, so hide the nav, and that is at max width 768 pixels. Okay, so this means that this code inside here is going to run at a screen or viewport 768 and below. Okay, so if you don't have you don't understand it very well, you can watch introduction to a video on introduction to responsiveness. I talked about that in one of the series, or I can just simply, if you have not written this block of code, what it means is that this code we are going to put inside will only run when the viewport width is 768 and below. And what we want here is actually to make all this one want to make it display none for now, like want to make it disappear. Okay, on small screens we simply want to make it disappear, and you can see it has gone. We still have this enroll button. We can also take that enroll button off. So I'm just going to do this. So go to the enroll button, which is the CTA link here, down here inside, make it disappear. So even it here is gone, and we have that, and our button doesn't look nice. It's because it has, I think, a border and outline. So let's look for the hamburg. So first of all, let's take border, none. Okay, and outline also none. Okay, and that one should fix how it looks. Yeah. Okay, so you can see we have this, we have achieved this. This is really great. Okay, so we could of course reduce on 768. On globals we can check on our font, for instance, here. So I'm just going to say, for instance, at media, I can just paste in this 768. We can change the font size slightly, and I just make it maybe 58%, just changing them slightly. Okay, changing them slightly. Can even close this. I don't think I need it. So slightly, I can just check it like that. It might have not changed much, but it makes a difference. Okay, it makes a difference. So this is looking great, and this is what we are aiming at in. So right now, what we have is we have achieved hiding. Okay, so right now we have achieved up to this level. So if I go back to my design here, let me go back to my design here. What is the design, guys? Here. So we have managed to switch or to interswitch between our header and this header. Okay, this is what we wanted, and at least we have achieved it. So let's go to the hero section and finish up the hero section before we go to JavaScript. I want the JavaScript to be the last one. So let's just work on the hero section and we know it is also done. Okay, so go down and let's go to hero section, most say in HTML. So we have the header, and inside here we have the header section. So you can just go here, minimize this header, go down here and go to this hero section. Okay, and in the hero section, let's have a section. In fact, we have a section, and let's say hero section. Okay, so this is great. So we have the hero section here. So in this hero section, what do we want? So we're going to put only one h1 tag, which says welcome to this is hub. And yes, also put a CTA button here. So there's a CTA link. I'm just going to simply copy it here somewhere. Just copy this one. Okay, and that one makes it to go to globals. Okay, because now I'm just going to show you, if I put it inside here, it might lose the design. Okay, so if I just now go inside, you see it is actually lost this design. So that means since this is going to be used globally any other place, we can take this its design. So let me look for where the CTA is. So where we did the CTA here, it doesn't need necessarily to be in the header, so you can just cut this out and bring it in the globals. Okay, or you could even create here like buttons. You can just say buttons.scss in components. In fact, let's create another one. You could call it components. So in the components, you put those things that are going to be reusable components. So you could just create something else like components, like where you put your cards, you put your buttons, anything that is SCSS. So you could just put here in this components, and then go to styles and make sure you bring it in. Okay, so components, you can just bring them after globals at media. Okay, and not at media, at import, sorry, and we are bringing dot slash, and we're bringing components. Simple like that. Put the semicolons and you're good to go. So now if you do that, and if you go back, this should work globally. So you can see this CTA button is working everywhere, and this is what we wanted. Okay, so this is good. So in the CTA, what we want is to put some background to this section. So I can target this section, go here to hero, and put this dot hero section, and let me put my background. So it's going to be background image, or I can just use background, really doesn't matter. And I'm just going to use linear gradient. Okay, and 45 degrees. Okay, and from blue, so I want to move from dark blue. So dark blue, dollar color dark blue. Okay, to blue. So I'm just going to say to color blue. Okay, just like that. Okay, and if I wanted, I could put height here to it. Maybe let's make it 90 view height. We could just make it actually 100 here, 100 view height, and we see. Okay, so yeah, this is already looking great. This is looking great. Okay, so let's put these things in the center using this prefix. Okay, and flex direction. So let's say flex direction column, and let's give a gap of 2 rem. Okay, so that one is to make sure it arranges our button, and then it gives this one. And we can first of all give align items center. Let's first look that. Okay, this is good. So for H1, so you could have another one for typography where you are going to put all your headings. Okay, I'm doing this because at the level of a project, this is how I want you to get used to all these kind of files with SCSS, where you put all your headings so that when you come to see your headings, you are not lost. Okay, so let's create one more file, which is typography. So typography is going to hold all the headings or the text you're going to use. Okay, SCSS, and here let's link it before we forget. So you can't just bring in after components, you can bring in a typography, could even bring in faster, and at this point it doesn't actually matter much. So let me just say at import and dot slash, let me look for typography here and bring in like that. So typography is going to hold our fonts and they're going to be globally. So for instance, I could have this as big heading. Okay, I could have that one as a big heading, and let's say font size, I want it 50 pixels, which is 5 rem. Okay, color, you don't need to have a color on it. We are going to have, so let's first give this this big heading, let's give it to our HTML. So let me close up some of these things here. Okay, and header, we are done. So you go back here, and this heading, give it a class and give it this big heading, and you could give it a color, text white. We go and create that text white. Why are we creating this color text white? Because sometimes you're going to use a big heading but not necessarily white. So that's why we cannot put this color onto this. No, we have going to create also this one in globals. So go to global.css here, and let's create another one which is like text white, and its purpose is just to make sure you have color, just color white here, like so. And that's its purpose, like its purpose just to convert to that. Okay, so this in hero section, justify. So let's also justify content, and ASA center. Okay, yep. So this is what we want it in the center, and maybe I could just reduce to 90 here. View height, like not to be exaggerative. Okay, yeah, that is really looking great. So how do we put in our image? Okay, so let's just go back here in hero, and I want to put the background image. So the good thing with background or background image, you can actually put like 2 images, and linear gradient is treated as an image. So this one is like 1 image. So if I want to put an image, another one on, or I want to put it behind the linear gradient, come where the linear gradient ends here at the end. Okay, put comma, put URL, and then I'm just going to say dot dot Okay, I'm just going to put dot dot and slash. Of course, if you are putting the image to be dot slash, okay, dot slash, where is our image? Dot slash bg. Okay, now before we put this, I want you that the image is not showing for some reason. Okay, so if I put like this, you can see the image here is reading, everything looks good. Okay, so if I go to the browser, the image is not there. Okay, now for your case, those ones who have the style.css inside here with index, you do not have this problem. Your background image is going to show up. Okay, your background image is going to show up if your style.css is inside the same as index. It will not have any problems, it will show up. Now to those ones who are having style inside the css folder, okay, if you find your style.css is inside css folder, yours is not going to show up. Okay, because remember this, when you go now to style, let me show you. So it is going to compile it into that. So if we check here, let's check for the hero. I could search hero. Yeah, it is here. So you see, it is saying background is ./bg. This is assuming as if it is in the same folder, like they're in the same folder. That's why it is treating it like this. But if you put in the sense that this is going to be here, then you have to move out. For instance, you are going to put dot here, another dot for moving out. Okay, so if you now go now back, it is showing up because in this folder now from style.css, you have to move out to access this image. That's why it is working. So after it is working and everyone has seen it, it is really here. But you can see it is too destructive. That's why we cannot allow to use it direct. It is too much destructive. And by the way, you can go and again and give it background size. Let's make it cover. Okay, like that. It is fitting in very well. That is great. And we could just give it also background position. So there is background position, and you could give it center. So center in X direction and center vertically. So can center it in horizontally and center it vertically. Okay, it might not change much, but this is just for centering it. Okay, so this is great. So how do we put a gradient on top of it? So you have the image, you can see it is working very well. So put the gradient on top of it by, I'm just going to paste it there with a comma. So you put a comma there, and if you do that, it is going to first disappear like so. So what is happening is the gradient is on top of it and we cannot see it. Okay, so what you need to do is get one of these gradients and we reduce its opacity. So the easiest way is you can just go here on one of these colors, okay, and turn it into RGBA. Okay, I always just want to reduce only one size or one side, so like one of them. So like this one, get here and write RGBA. So now RGBA helps us to actually specify the opacity. So paste in the color, comma, opacity 0.5, for instance. And if we go back, now we can actually see that we are seeing it. Okay, if it is too much, you can just take it to opacity to 0.7 and see how it looks. Okay, so if you're happy with whichever you want, I'm happy with this. Okay, I'm happy with this, and this is really how our website looks like. It might not be exactly like, you can just go and trick and play around with the colors, but so far I'm happy with this. Okay, I can work with this and it has exactly what we want. Okay, so in responsive, this is where we are. Okay, this is where we are, and our button, I think because of having the display none somewhere. I'm not seeing it. Okay, so never mind, we'll just fix that one later. But another one we want to focus on in the hero is want to have text align center. So you can just say text align center. Okay. Okay, so then, yeah, this is great. Okay, so you can see responsive wise we are okay. So the next hard thing is when we click on this navbar, we want this to show up. We want our nav menu to show up here. Okay, that is the most important thing. Okay, so let's work on that in JavaScript. So at this point we have the HTML CSS working, and let's dive into JavaScript and we see how we can put this together. So you just go to JavaScript, and the first step to JavaScript, I'm just going to close this. So the first step JavaScript, you see we have no any line of code. So the first thing is connect it to your HTML. Okay, so go in the head here. So after we have linked my CSS, down here I'm just going to say script. Okay, source, and put app.js. A minute, app.js, like so. So let's confirm if it has properly linked by saying alert, and you can say it's working. So I want to see this alert if it is working. Okay, good, it is working. So it means JavaScript is working. Okay, so now the logic is we want to add on that button. When someone clicks it, we want it to do something. Okay, so what does it want to do? If someone clicks on this button, so go back down here. So if when someone clicks on this button, we want to show our nav. Okay, we want to show our nav. So the question there is, where is our nav? So we have to first position our nav somewhere where we can see it, like below here. Okay, want to position our nav somewhere we can see. Okay, okay, so that one is great. Can we first work on that? While it is in this mode, we want to position our nav here. Okay, so let's go back to the header, and this time we are concentrating on this nav. Okay, so now in media query here we had displayed it to be none. Okay, but actually we don't want it to be, of course we can first don't display none here. So we see what is happening. Of course it is just all over the place. You see, it is all over the place. So first thing we can first do is, it is already display flex. Here we can first change it flex direction to column. Okay, so if we do that, it will turn to something like this. It will do like this. Another one, we want to give it position. So instead we can give it position fixed. Okay, position fixed, and that one is going to take off. You can see it is out of place. Let's give it some background so we can look at it. I'm just going to give it a weird background like red, so that we look at where it is. So this is where it is right now. So want to bring it somewhere like this side. So can we give it something like right? So you say right 0, and we see what is going to go. Okay, so it has gone here. And top, so you can just say top, and let's say top, we give it was it 90 pixels, the one of this header. So let's give it 80, so that it is just below, it is just below here. And that's how you put it there. You use this height here, and you only use it to give it as a top. So this 80 I've used here is the same as this this 80 of the height of the header, so that it actually moves 80 pixels from the top, and it will be exactly like at the bottom here. Okay, that is great. And I could increase its padding at this point. So yes, padding top and bottom is okay, but just give 3 rem on the sides. Okay, yeah, so I think that is looking great. And align items, is that one align items? So let me see, is that one align items, which is, oh, let me first see align items. Flex start, so I want them to, let me see, yeah, I think it's align items. You can see all of them, they are just aligned on the same. And on top and bottom padding, you just give it to rem. Okay, doesn't look nice. Okay, so that is great. And the background color, instead of that one, I'm just going to give it black, but with some opacity. Okay, so I'm just going to say RGBA, RGBA. So RGBK, you can see it helps us to define the color and the alpha, and the alpha is opacity. Okay, so the color can be black like that, and you don't need to specify like so. You can just go here and say color black. We have our color black. And then alpha, you don't also need to do this, so say 0.8. Okay, like that. And you see, so it gives a nice effect whereby you can look through those links. And if you wanted, you could just give more width. Okay, but what I'm wondering is our button. So the CTA button is nowhere to be seen, and I think it's because, I don't know, let's first check where the CTA is. It's because it has display none on it, and that one we have to go and specify back. So in our global here, so we have it in components somewhere here. Okay, so here this display none here is for specific ones, not globally. We don't want it globally to do this. So the first thing we can do is do this, remove it from there. Okay, so now it's going to be seen in multiple places, including here, but in the header we don't actually want it. Okay, in the header here we don't actually want it, so I'm just going to go to header, and down here, let me show you in the header, not inside the nav, but in the header here, CTA dot CTA link, we want it display none for it at that point. Okay, we don't want it, but like this one we want it. Okay, so now even here we want to see it in the nav, though we are not seeing it right now. So that means in the nav here we must be doing something like here, display none. We don't want this to happen. CTA want our button to be seen. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so at that point we want to bring it back, so copy this. So we are in the nav now. Remember, we are manipulating the nav. So on the desktop, want this button display none, should be hidden. Okay, the CTA. But when we go back to small devices, we want it to be seen. Okay, so what I'm just going to do is down here, I'm just going to put this code here. Like here is supposed to be like display block, like it's supposed to be seen now, and you can see it's popping up down here, and this is exactly what we want it to pop up there. Okay, you could make this one, all of it, to cover the whole entire place, but I think this is more enough. Okay, this is like more enough. So now we have actually our menu. We haven't done any single JavaScript. All this is CSS that is doing all the magic. So like you do this, voila, and it is showing you how you want it to be. Like this is like really great. Like you have your interface working, but this is HTML, CSS that is manipulating. JavaScript, what it is going to do is to hide this. Okay, when we click it, it should hide. When it is hidden, it should bring it back, or if we click and it is there, it should do that. Okay, so can we just now do that in JavaScript? So let's now do this. So for now, we want to do is to put the hidden class, or is to hide it. Okay, or it's just simply to put this display none, actually, like that. So we can have a class, you see, you just toggle that display none. Okay, we can just put that, so like so, display none, like that. And we can just use JavaScript to do this, to toggle this on it. So let's do that with JavaScript. Keep it simple. The purpose of JavaScript is to help us put this style on and off. That is the purpose of JavaScript. So the first thing is, what do we want? What do we select? So the first thing is we are going to select the button that is going to do the magic. So I'm just going to say const. So here we have selections on top, and we want const. The first one is const button, or hamburg, actually, to be specific. Hamburg button. So we select the hamburg button, and is equal to document dot query selector, and we can just go and be carefully select the hamburg, please. So select this, copy it, the class very well. Can close all these ones, others, close these, and let's remain with app.js to keep it simple. And inside here, simply put this in the brackets, simply put hash. So you said query selector selects them the way it selects in CSS, like so. And to make sure that you have it selected, console.log, okay, console.log hamburg button. So just console it on the here, so that we know it is working. Okay, and for some reason it's saying null. App.js line 3 is saying null. Okay, it's because let's see, hamburg button is document.query selector hash hamburg. Okay, is it saying, is it serious? Okay, oh, it's because so you can see, but on small screen it is actually there. Not sure why it is not seeing it. That is those are the hacks, but app.js line 3 is saying null, is showing us that this button is not existing. Okay, so let's first confirm by using get element by ID, and the ID is simply hamburg. Maybe is it the query selector we are doing bad? I don't think so. Okay, still null. Okay, so let's get back to our query selector and let's figure it out. So the one possible reason would be because in the styles, so where do we have the hamburg is in the header. Okay, so it might be this. Where do we have hamburg? It might be here in the hamburg, that you are still having display none. And then here we have this prefix. That's why I don't know why it is not seeing it. Okay, why is it not seeing? So let's first put this display none off, and let's see if it is selecting it now. Okay, it is not selecting anything at all. Okay, let's select something else. Let's first select something else. Let's select what? Let's select the menu, the nav menu. So const nav, the nav we want to show is document dot query selector, and here we are selecting actually the nav. Okay, so here we are selecting the nav. Okay, and let's console.log nav. We see if we can see it. Oh, and it is saying null also. Is there any problem we are having? Another thing, okay, let me just say console.log working. That is really interesting. Like all our selections are not working. Okay, so working is there, but this one is showing null. Okay, so let's first see what is the problem. So we are selecting here nav. Okay, that is really weird. Can we select another thing like a header? Just so you are seeing how I'm troubleshooting, and that's why I don't remove actually those parts. It's just like you see how I'm trying to troubleshoot to get what the problem is. So just get something else like document dot query selector, and let me just select like the whole header. Okay, and then let me console.log header, and you can see it is giving like everything null. Okay, is giving everything as null, which is typically weird. Okay, like it's supposed to console like the element itself. Okay, so okay, let's just try to see like if for instance if we added an event listener, would it listen? That one will be giving us an error. Okay, dot add event listener, and we are adding a click event listener, and then we said an event listener takes in two things. It takes in an event and then the function to be run. So here we put function. Okay, and what are we return? So we say for instance console.log clicked, console.log button clicked. Okay, so like that. So let me just try to click on the button. And a code type error cannot read properties of null. Of course, before that is yelling at us, like if the property is null and you are adding like an event listener to it, it actually does not work. Okay, so that one is, let's first troubleshoot for sure what would be the problem of not selecting our stuff. So we have document here dot query selector, and we are selecting it very well. Then on consoling it here is actually giving us okay, so before putting this event listener, let's first figure out why our hamburg menu, what the heck is, why is it not working? So this hamburg menu, document dot query selector hamburg, this should just be like easy, like selecting it. I have no idea. So if you just go, let's just go to elements. Okay, try to go to elements here, and let me put these styles down and into the header section. I can see my button here. Okay, button with ID, I can see it here. Okay, I don't know why it is not showing up in JavaScript. Okay, I don't know why it is not showing up in JavaScript. And you can see it is button with a hashtag hamburg. Even if we selected it using this selector here, it should be working. So document, so if I say document dot, okay, query, so I just say query selector here in the browser, and I could just say put bracket here, and inside here I could now put the selector, and let me see, first of all, any button. Can it give us any button? For instance, button hamburg. Okay, so we could just say button with a hash hamburg, and here it is. You can see it is bringing it. Okay, if I enter this, it is selecting it. Okay, so let's try this. Okay, let's try this. Oh, okay, so here we did not put the far. Okay, please. You can see where problems can come from. Put this defer. So what it is doing is loading JavaScript fast. So this was really a great lesson that all of you have witnessed. Okay. Okay, so this was a really great lesson that all of you have witnessed. So I did not specify this keyword defer. Okay, so what happens is that it actually loads JavaScript first before actually reading the body. So before reaching this side, it is already reading JavaScript. So if you put this JavaScript line in the head, be careful to put this keyword defer. So if we now go back, like you see all our things are working. Okay, this is really great. Things now you can see they are working, and it's just because of only this keyword defer. So that one was a really brutal lesson, and all of you have seen how we have managed to get it. But you see, even the part of troubleshooting, I think you guys should appreciate that. I don't want to cut out all the mistakes. I want to leave them there so that you see how we troubleshoot, how we come to the solution. You see, I came this side, I started doing the query selector. I noticed actually that it was doing what we want, but actually it is not working this side. Okay, great, that was good. So so it means if I can, we don't need the header, by the way, we are just doing it for troubleshooting purposes. And so, but we want a hamburg and want a nav, because the hamburg, when you click, want to do something on the nav. Okay, so the first thing is we have selected it, and we can console .log it, and that's why we are seeing it at this point here, the button with the hamburg, and it is this one. Okay, so now when we add an event listener to it here, it is going to work. So hamburg menu dot add event listener click, and this function console.log button clicked. So if I now go there and let's click on it, okay, button clicked, so it is working. Okay, so in this place, let's go ahead and hide this navbar, the nav. So I'm just going to see a minute, Control F, nav. So here where we have the nav at this point, let's go ahead and put display none. Okay, so if we put display none, is gone. Okay, so now we want to add this display flex to it. We want to add display flex to it using so want to remove this display to put display flex or yeah, putting display flex using JavaScript. Okay, so let's put display none here, like so. Okay, so now what I'm just going to do is on JavaScript side is for instance, we can console.log, for instance, console.log nav. I just want to show you that actually we can click here and we console.log nav. So if I come click, and you see it is consoling the nav. Okay, so now we can just go ahead and now we do something to this nav. So for instance, we could do nav dot, remember there is a style object on it, and then on the style object we have the display property, and we can equal to this to flex. Okay, so once say when I click on it, go to the nav, change the style from display from none to flex, as simple as that. And if you do that, okay, click, okay, so now we click, it goes there, but now you can see actually like it is not doing anything. Okay, so now of course we would now start checking. Okay, we would now start checking, because what you want is if you just click it on the first time, it should add it. If it is there, it should remove it. Okay, that means we can do an if statement. Okay, so for instance, we could just do this. Okay, we could just say if, okay, nav dot style dot display, okay, not direction but display, is equal to, if this is equal to none, okay, if equal to none, can I write the word none? So we are asking ourselves if the style on if the display on the nav is equal to none, what do we do? So we could do this, nav style dot display to flex, set this nav style to flex, else, or if that is not the case, if it is, we could also say if it is equal to flex, we could just do that. So else we could just say equal to none. Okay, so that one I think it should work according to me. If you click, okay, so it is actually not working. So if you click the first, okay, it is working. We had not refreshed, I guess. So you see, you click, so the first time you see it is not working. That is the weird part. Okay, but now you can see it is working, because in the first place it is actually none. Okay, so if the nav style display is equal to none, so it should add flex, else it should add display none. Okay, or if you could just say if it is flex, so that is, you could do that. Okay, we could do this, and it is already working. If you see, for sure it is already working really well. Okay, but we can do better. For instance, we can create an active class. Okay, we could create an active class. So inside here, okay, inside here we could create an active class. So where is our nav? So this is the nav. Okay, this is the nav. Okay, so inside here we could just add another class to it. So like nav, then we could just add this active class to this nav. Okay, and its purpose, it could do only display none when it is there, and you could check that class of none. So there are very many ways you could do that. Okay, there are very many ways we could do that. For instance, let's create a class called active. So inside, even outside, it doesn't necessarily mean like inside the nav, because the class is on the same level with this one. So we could just say active. Okay, we could just say nav dot active. So if you wanted to, you could just add this nav dot active. This means like a class, a nav with active class. We could go ahead and say this prefix. Okay, and for sure you could even, instead of, we're going to do more things, but let's first work with this one. So we have this prefix. So what we want is, we want to add this class active. Okay, and before even we add it with JavaScript, let's go and test it if it is working. Okay, so we can't just test it when it is working. So here, refresh. So it is not there. So you can go to element here. So elements, and let me look for the, of course it is not there. So let's go and put that class. So if we go to the nav and we give it a class active, what happens? Does it show up? Okay, yeah, it shows up. So when the nav has active class, it shows up. So that's the only thing we want. So we want to use JavaScript now to add this active class. And this active class should only be added when we click on the nav bar. So right now, we could just remove this. We make it empty, or we even remove it. Okay, we could even remove it like so. Now with JavaScript instead, okay, with JavaScript instead, we could, now instead of doing this, I'm just going to comment on this one. Okay, we could just say, for instance, nav dot, okay, dot class list, okay, dot add, and we are adding a class called active. So when we click, want to add a class active. So now let's see if I click. Okay, it adds the class active, and you can just see here it has added the class active. Let me pull this down. So you can look at the here nav, it has the class active. Okay, so the only thing is, we want to, if it already have it, it should remove it, and if it's not there, so it should just like do remove it if it is there, or add it if it is not there. That is the thing we want. And that one is what you call toggling. That one you call it toggling. So that functionality of adding something if it is there is called toggling. So we could, instead of saying add, we could just instead say toggle. Okay, so toggle active. If you say toggle active, now what it means is, if it is not there, like if it is there, remove it. Like look at that, very one line of code. Jesus, like only one line of code, like only one line of code that is doing the work. nav.classList.toggle active. Okay, and this is really cool. And just to know, the toggling is only one line of code, and it is already working. And now another purpose of using the active instead of working with style is that we can do many things with this active class. So instead of saying, so let me just go back to the header here, and in the nav, where we have it here, having it display none, where is here. Okay, we could do other things. For instance, we could hide it. Instead of saying display none, we could give it, for instance, a big left. Remember, at this point, it is position what? It is position fixed. I think it has position fixed. Yes. So you can see right is 0. We could give it a very big right. Okay. So for instance, we could just give like negative 100%. Okay. And here we can even say display not none, but we just simply give it like that. Like it will disappear from the stuff, but it is there. So instead, where we are giving the active class, we could be bring back this to 0. Okay. Here display none, not necessarily we need to give display none. But here down on the active class, instead of this prefix, we could now give right to 0, like it is doing that. Only that. You see, it is bringing it and hiding it. Okay, so we could just do, for instance, a transition on the nav. Okay, let me first go here down, and let me just put transition and not transform. Okay, transition or 0.5. Could you just do 0.6 seconds really, and is okay. So now what happens is that we can just give other things. For instance, we can also give transform. Okay, so instead just of simply hiding it using only right, we could, for instance, give it a transform. Okay, and we could just say scale. Okay, so we could just bring it from 0 to 1. Okay, we could just say transform. By default, we could just give it 2. Okay, and we will bring it back on 1. We could also give it opacity 0. Okay, we could even give it a translate if you wanted. You can give it anything really what you want here, and then make sure that on the active you are bringing back all these values to normal. Okay, so on the active class you can bring back all these values to normal. That's how you can add in all those sweet things. So you can bring this one back to 1. We can bring back this one to 1 also. So now if I add, you see that, look at that. So you see, you can put in that kind of animation. Okay, that one adds the animation. You can even hide it, like you are taking it as it is hiding, it is becoming like going back to 0. You get? Okay, so that is great. I think we could just say before active, can we make this 0? So scale, let's make it like 0.1. Okay, and let's see now how it becomes. So you see now it changes how it is hiding. This is great. So you could even translate it. You could translate here what is transform, and you could just say translate x, maybe y, negative, maybe so top maybe 100 pixels. I don't know. 100 pixels. Is that the pixels? 100 pixels, and scale is that. And you could just say on bring it back, translate, not there. You can just leave it at that, just not complicate this whole thing. And actually, just like all these properties, I've added these 3 properties, they are not necessary. Okay, if you want, you could just only play around with only this prefix here, display none, and your active class is only and only responsible for the active class. Okay, it could be responsible for the active class only, or if you want to add in animations, and I'm showing you how you can add other properties, like the right, you can animate it in. You can do these transformations. Okay, so for instance, you can put 3 here, and then here you can also put opacity 0, so that by the time it comes back here to active, you bring opacity back to 1, and you bring scale back to 1, and even right back to 0. So if you do now, it is having this animation of like it is flying out. You see that? So this is good. This is cool, man. And so this comes to the end of the tutorial. So guys, thank you so much for watching. It is, I know it can be a long tutorial, but trust me, it is worth it. It is worth you understand, absolutely you understand how this thing is done. We started from scratch, we designed the project together, we started done all these things, we put JavaScript together, and everything came to start working, and this is really great. So if you like this kind of content, please make sure you subscribe, okay, and share this content so that others can actually get help from it. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next project.